Forecasting doom is not helpful. That's what I'm going to elaborate on as I sit with a duller forecast right now. A very cold week expected, and worse lighting because the sun isn't coming in and I use it natural. So, yeah, while this isn't a doom forecast of weather, it's overcast and I'm ready for warmth. Before I jump fully in, I do want to say thank you to anybody who watched last week's video. Within 2 days, it surpassed my top video by like 30% more views, 40% more views in 2 days. So that was cool. I don't know who all was watching that, but sometime between 11 p.m. and was it like 11 a.m.? So just an overnight into morning, it just shot up. So thank you for that, making my top viewed video. And the short that I put out to promote it after the fact is now my second most viewed short. So much appreciation to everyone who watched it. And if you're following up on this one, I just want to say thank you for that. That was fun to see, a little encouraging surprise there. And I enjoyed the few discussions that came from that as well. So thanks for continuing to watch. These are fun to do, and it's nice to see those little surprises sometimes waking up. So thank you to that. And to jump back in, forecasting doom. What do I mean by that? This is something that a lot of people do, and I'm going to give you examples instead of a full definition to start this out. So imagine you're saying, I'm having trouble with sleep right now, and then someone just says, well, you're having trouble with sleep right now. Just wait till you have kids. Or you say, yeah, my back's feeling off today. They say, your back's feeling off. Just wait till you're 40. Or you say, yeah, I love my 2-year-old. He's great. And they say, I'll just wait till they get to 3. All my interactions with my wife are fantastic. Like, give it 5 years. This immediate response to positivity with negativity in this way that people are pretending to be encouraging, but they're not. They're being something else, and I'm going to dive into that a little bit. But they're taking information that you give them, and they're forecasting doom. That's kind of the idea there, is you are projecting negative things onto that person's future. Rude, maybe. People do this all the time, and it is actually one of the. So you can use this as well. It's a tool that I use to quickly decide who I spend my time with. So anyone who has that in their natural language, I don't hang out with very much. I don't just like get you out of my life completely, but you're not helpful to hang out and go to for assistance or encouragement. So, it's annoying. I think everyone's heard this in some way. And I debated mixing this topic with another one, which I will bring up, but I think I'll keep that separate. Another version is when people see things that are going well for you and they give you oh, it must be nice kind of response, as if they're putting you down for that, or must be lucky to have that, which is not fair because they don't see the inner workings of your life. And maybe you've gotten lucky and fortunate with something, and it is nice that you can just have that. But most people don't see behind the scenes. They don't see that you actually worked for it. What they see is that they don't have it, and that gets them mad. So I've never seen someone make comments like this about someone who's in a worse position than they are. I maybe see it occasionally when people are trying to give advice in really close relationships. Like someone's like, man, I'm not sleeping well right now. And they're like, hey, I know you want to have kids. You got to figure out the sleep thing because it's just going to get harder when you have kids. That's a little bit more appropriate. Even that still forecasts. There are some people who will say that their sleep's not that hurt by having kids, but I think most people would say that it is disrupted for sure. So I think there are some ways you can slide in and give kind of advice that way, but usually it's flippant and it's a statement that is just discouraging to people. And I've heard it all the time. So I've been viewed by a lot of people as a pretty hard worker, a diligent worker. There's a lot of things that I've done in my life that I'm like the youngest person in that circle. Because I like to push myself forward, or I had a tendency when I was younger to want to spend more time with adults. And I'm not talking when I was like 5 or 6. I mean, from like 12 and up, I just wanted to be in crowds doing other stuff that older people were doing. And I bring that up because people would, I think that's when I started hearing those comments, is people saying the wait until you get to hear point. And I really made my final nail in the coffin decision against spending time with people that do that when I was getting married, because the amount of people who commented on the negative ways that marriage will affect your life, or the negative things that you need to be careful about in marriage. And most of them are just wrong. And the issue is that they're true for those people. Now, my wife and I have been together for 3 years now, married for most of that time. And everything that people are warning us about doesn't happen, because what they're doing is they're projecting their own problems onto your life. There's no real warning in there. There's I have this bad thing that's happened, so you're for sure going to have it. And it justifies your own existence. If I say, well, every marriage has fights. What I'm probably saying there is my marriage has fights. Everyone's has fights, so my marriage is fine and normal. When in reality, not every marriage has fights. And if that's news to you, know that you do not have to have fights in your marriage. It's not a thing that comes with marriage. It's not a thing that comes with marriage that your wife is always right, the happy wife, happy life thing. Now, things go better when you're making each other happy and helping each other. But this uh, skewing of negative experiences as the way that things are is a way for us to justify our own less than ideal existence in certain areas. Same when people make comments about, I'm a very active person, and I've had people make comments to me while I'm sitting on the floor in my office about the ability to sit for long periods of time. That's not an age thing. That is I've chosen to develop my body in a way that I can sit on the ground for a long time without a back support and be okay. You just can. There's certain things that will deteriorate over time, but for a lot of people, it's just they haven't put in effort to be able to do that, and they just can't. The same way someone who picks up an instrument for the first time and they can't play it perfectly, and they say, well, that's just what happens. It's like you put effort into certain things, or you put some upfront energy into, some upfront energy into a relationship like marriage. I think you can tell in most, being a therapist, I feel like I can tell in most relationships when I interact with a couple if they're going to have problems or not. And I actually think most people will already know that their marriage is going to struggle before they get married. And I think that's a contrary view. But I think most people, before they are married, they know it's going to be a hard marriage. I actually don't think very many people go into it with rose-colored glasses and think this is going to be perfect. They see the problems and they think that they'll figure the problems out later. Or they know something is not good, but they don't want to back out of the marriage, or they think they might not get better. But when I've really gotten into conversations with people, both clinically and in my personal life, it becomes clearer and clearer that the majority of them, by a lot, I'm talking like 80 to 90% of them, at least, they can point to the problems before they happened. And sometimes that's retrospective, and the hindsight's 2020. But I ask them, were you aware at the time about that thing? And almost every time they say yes. The issue's in the decision making there. And then to justify our decisions, we then decide it is normal for these things to happen. And maybe you can say it is normal, but that's not necessarily good. So it's normal for people to be overworked in the US, but that's not necessarily a good thing for it to be normal. So, you can, whatever angle you want to take there. And I also want to be very clear. If I bump into you and you're having marriage troubles, my first thought isn't going to be, you should know better. That's not what I'm saying. There's lots of reasons why there might be hiccups that happen, difficult things that occur. I do think, to be fair, a lot of that is avoidable early on, and there's lots of ways, and another video can discuss that. I do think most hurdles that a marriage will face can be addressed and figured out before marriage in a relatively short timeline. I actually don't think it's that complicated. Hot take, maybe. I just don't think it's keep messing with this mic. My gosh. I just don't think it's that complex in a lot of ways. I think people over whatever it's not oversimplify, whatever the opposite is, overcomplicate it. So, yeah, this isn't the video for that. I'm worried that I'm shooting myself in the foot with that type of comments, but maybe just need to do another video on picking a partner. Um, but I say that also coming from relationships where I've known it doesn't work and it hasn't gone well. But there's this thing when you're in the relationship. This is not the video for this. The point is, don't tell people that the future is going to be bad. Why are you doing that? Who do you help? There's a difference between warning someone, hey, if you keep down this road, chances are this will happen. That's different. But for someone to say, oh, we'll just wait until this time, why are you doing that? And parents do this all the time to other parents and to people who want kids. Oh, just wait till they're 2, just wait till they're 3. Oh, they're high school or middle school. Like, why are you doing that? And you're just talking crap on your kids at that point. It's crazy to me. It's insane. I don't understand that. It's one thing to vent a little bit in a space with a person or two that really trust you, and you just need to get some stuff out because parts of parenting are difficult. That's fine. But to look at another parent or prospective parents and say, hey, my kids suck and I didn't enjoy my experience with them, so you better get ready for it. That's wild to me. And people do it with marriage all the time. They do it when dating too, but the traditional stereotype of marriage in that I see more, you know, women belittling their husbands and husbands just kind of being jerks to their wife, and both of them talking about problems and not willing to talk it out. It's crazy, and this is not a marriage issue. These are person issues. There's no reason a marriage can't be good. Um, it's just weird to me when people say, get ready for this. And some of the people that I really value in my life when I was getting married came up to me and told me all the positive things I had to look forward to. Cool and easy to do. The difference with those people and the other people is these people that I look up to in my life have good marriages. All of the examples I can think of are people with healthy and good marriages, because people aren't telling you the truth. They're telling you their experience, which is the truth in their life, but is not the overarching thing that exists within the world. People come and say, this is this way. It's like, no, it's been that way for you, which, yes, it means it can be that way for other people. So to say something is this or is that, and you could argue both sides of that. People projecting, what's the opposite of projecting doom? I guess projecting paradise and success. But I'd rather that than negative. And again, this isn't about warning. It's not a warning. No one's come up to me like, oh, if you don't prioritize your wife as like the number one relationship, things will go south. That's good advice. People don't do that. I mean, I've had people encourage me that way, but people I'm talking about that are forecasting doom, they're not doing that. They're coming to you and saying, you better be ready to just do whatever she wants all the time. I don't understand the utility of a comment like that. You're doing that apparently in your marriage, is my assumption. But I'm using marriage as the example so much now, but it's true for so many things. Someone says they want to learn a language, and people say, yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be very difficult. A lot of people don't finish learning. Maybe just that's awesome that you're wanting to do that. Let me know if I can help in any way. And if you've had that experience, oh, this was my hurdle trying to do that. I spent too much time, trying to learn all these words, and I should have maybe been applying myself more with just trying to talk and like maybe give experiential encouragement, not just put the person down. Or someone who's like, I want to read the whole Wheel of Time series, which is like 15 books and was it 4 million words or something crazy? And you're like, oh, I've tried that like 3 times. It's hard to read. I don't. It's like, hey, someone's excited about reading a popular fantasy series. Let them read it. What are you doing? I don't. It's so confusing to me. You can tell I'm confused. I don't know who you're helping by saying "uh-oh" to someone's joy. or their neutrality. Because they never forecast the doom when you're dooming and glooming. Say, oh, my back hurts now. It's going to be awful when I'm 30, 40. They're not going to be like, wait till you're 50. They're just going to be like, yeah, it is bad because you're talking about their life. They're like, oh, yeah, yep, that's what it is for me. So just pay attention to people who forecast doom. And this is not like those people are bad people. It is just a negative mindset. And everyone that I know who has done that, I do not put them in a box of they are only negative. They've been encouraging and kind in other ways. I'm just selective in who I share parts of my life with. And when people are being extremely negative, they don't get a lot of me. And that's really important also for me to clarify. Like, my default is criticism, negative, and anger. I go towards negativity, towards criticism, towards an irritable, frustrated response. So I empathize a lot with doing that, which is all the more reason why for me it's helpful to be around people who are not doing that, people who are positive with their projections and their experiences. So it's not a criticism if you're doing that. This is a encouragement to stay away from that. Either as the recipient, don't spend a lot of time with people that are going to do that. And if you're the person doing that, just stop doing it. I'm fine. And if you have examples, comment here because I'm curious if there are times where what I'm saying makes sense, but bear in mind in terms of if there are times that forecasting doom makes sense. But bear in mind, I did differentiate giving sound advice and wisdom against a route or acknowledging that something could be difficult. I'm acknowledging that exists. What I'm asking, I guess, really, is if there's a moment where it makes sense to be like, oh, well, just wait until this moment. Let me know in the comments because I can't think of anything that satisfies that type of, well, I can't think of any situation where that would make sense. I'm limited in my perspective. So, yeah, so take this as an encouragement. Be nice to people, encourage them when something's going well for them. And also, if you're the type of person that's forecasting that doom, ask yourself, do I only do that when someone is better than me, more successful than me, or ahead of me? Because in my experience, it's been that way. My back is healthier, so they say that. And what's also interesting is I get this a lot with sleep, where I talk about the importance of sleep and getting a lot of sleep. And I get crap for that all the time, where I say I need to prioritize sleep. And people like, oh, well, you got to work hard, and or the kids this or life this, and you just like, oh, well, you don't have this going on it. I have struggled with sleep for a decade and a half at least. It has been completely awful. Multiple nights every week of not getting to sleep, struggle getting up, sometimes struggle staying to sleep. It's mostly more of an insomnia getting to sleep. Even this past week, I finally fell asleep Friday night at 6:30 in the morning. And so when people make those comments, what I am doing is I have studied sleep so much to help myself. And then I do things that are successful for a period of time. And then I have advice on that, or I have input on what people can do or the benefit of practicing it this way or this way. And when I'm successful at doing that, if I'm presenting it in a successful way, if you're able to get this much sleep, it's going to help with this. And the first response is, well, you don't have kids, you don't understand. And really what's happening is you don't understand what I'm saying. You don't understand my experience of it. What you're hearing is, this is my assumption. I do need more sleep, but I can't because of this. Okay. And it doesn't then make it untrue that sleep will be helpful. I'm not saying figure out how to get it. So this happens a lot too. It's usually where people have worked really hard for something. The type of person who's, 55, 60 years old and they're still squatting heavy and benching heavy, and people start to criticize, like, that person's worked really hard to do that. Or this person has worked really hard to learn this information. So I think we often flippantly criticize and condemn when we just don't need to, and it doesn't help. If you see someone who's in a better position to you, someone who, like for me, someone who gets really good sleep, I don't want to say, oh, it must be nice, or, oh, we'll just wait until this happens. I want to know what they're doing to get good sleep. If I see someone younger than me who's better at the instruments than I am, and they're killing it, And I'm making an argument of, I don't have a good example for that right now because I'm not going downhill with my music right now. But if I was, for me to say, oh, just wait till you get to my age, I'd be curious what they're doing to maintain that level of success and to continue moving forward. And I'd like to partner with them of here's anything I could offer as an older person. Actually, I've done this a lot with rock climbing and bouldering with people, getting advice from very young and very old and not having this perspective of like, oh, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I kind of went off on this one. Here you go. This is the raw version. Point being, to summarize and to end this video, do not forecast doom on other people's lives. And try not to spend a lot of time with people who are doing that. And remember that people are people. This is not an all or nothing thing. You can change the way you act that way. And you can still spend time with those people in settings that they're not behaving that way with their words. So, relationship is still important in all these things. It's just being mindful of who you allow that input into your existence and future and how you offer input into others. So, yeah, thanks for listening. It's supposed to be Monday musing, but it sounded more like a rant, but that's part of amusing, I guess, sometimes. So, if this was helpful in any way, if it was helpful in any way for you, or you just found it interesting, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with people. It's fun to do these. I like doing these every Monday. I'll be doing some up and down traveling the next couple weeks, so you'll get some fun background. So you should tune in to the next 2 weeks because my backgrounds will be different for the next 2 Mondays, and that's fun. So like, subscribe, share. If you need any assistance, guidance, or therapy support, mental health support, please reach out to me. My contact info is in the description of this video through email. You can also leave comments. I'm a therapist practicing in Kansas and Missouri. I can see you in these states if you need it. If you are outside those states and you still need assistance, I can help find that, hopefully with some success for you. So, yeah, hope you all have a great Monday and thanks for tuning in. See ya.